Hello my bookhoes, I am back from finishing finals and finishing those vlogs, and I'm so excited to finally get back into my fashion and design work. Hello and welcome to Bookhoarding by Bianca. I'm Bianca and I'm excited that you have joined me today to talk about arts and Druidcraft. Now, if you have missed my video on designing a collection, you don't have to stop right now and go watch it, but there is going to be more in-depth information about my collection there. I will give you a brief summary, which is that arts and Druidcraft is specifically centered on the things that brought me joy and centered me a lot during the pandemic, especially the early days, because, you know, COVID still exists. But it really helped me kind of center a lot of my creativity and my joy. So Dungeons and Dragons was obviously really important in keeping me social, even when I was at my own house, you know, the Zoom sessions and everything. I still play. And then arts and crafts movement I thought was really important too, because both of those share these idealized versions of the past, these fantasy versions, which are not without their flaws, mind you. But I think they're really fun to analyze and think about, and also to play with in their own ways. And then obviously arts and crafts movement is a lot about nature, and I'm spending a lot more time outside, going on hikes and walks, and having terrible allergies because of that, because I'm weak. My body is weak. But also focus on learning different handcrafts and kind of like getting into making your own shit. So with that in mind, here are my 5 head-to-toe looks. Number 1 is my Hobbit core look. Now this is really designed to fit parameters for assignments in my fall semester construction class. Was it pattern making or construction? Maybe it was pattern making. Anyway, I basically needed to make a shirt and needed to make a pant, and I was like, let's just do this look. And I really like the toe back silhouette, and I also really like puffy pants because, like, I want to wear something that's comfy. I want to wear something I'm going to go on a hike in, and that might be denim, and I feel like really tight denim isn't really the best for going on like a long hike, you know? Much as I love my skinny jeans, I also really want to be able to be flexible and move around, and also like when I'm running around the house and like picking up the bunnies and running them around the house, I wanted something that I could move in, and I thought that like very high-waisted thing that had a lovely amount of like details and embroidery. I used my machine to put a bunch of embroidery top stitching all over it. And then I also created a little space to put suspenders, so I have little raised areas along the high waist for suspenders. Then the toe backed green shirt is made from remnants of stuff that I had, so that explains why this color story doesn't really match the rest of it, because I didn't have much of that green left to make anything out of it. But I have cording in the yoke, and then I did the toe back, which is the kind of flowing silhouette. I still want to make a belt for this one day, but you know, whatever. And then I also put mutton leg sleeves on that, because, you know, I love a dramatic sleeve. I love a big sleeve. Look number 2 was my artist's smock inspired piece. So I looked at a lot of arts and crafts movement smocks. You know, they're big, and like we want to be able to just make art as it comes to us, but we also have to wear clothing. And so it was like this interesting marriage of like practical and also very aesthetic things, which I kind of dug. So this is my artist smock inspired piece. It also has a puff sleeve, and it just has a very basic like A-line flared silhouette with a little belt, and then I put a bat wing collar on top of that. I think it's fun. I think it's cute. The bat wing is kind of a nod to Strahd, which was one of the longest campaigns that I had done during the pandemic. Look number 3 is my smocked dress with my denim doublet vest. So the denim doublet vest, which is so hard to say. Why do I describe things that are difficult? Why can't I just give them names, like the Lucian vest or something? Anyway, I designed the Battenberg lace design, because that was me. I designed that and I made that. And I have I made the pattern for it, and then I tested it out, and that was the test. I basically was like, I don't have enough time to make this a second time because it is time consuming, and I think it looked fine. So that is the applique on the back of that vest, and then I added like the little tabs along the bottom to mimic like Tudor things, oldie-timey things, and I added the little rolls, shoulder rolls, because I thought that was cute. And then like those things will fray as I wash and wear that piece, although I don't have that piece on me right now because it advanced to the next round of a competition, so it is not in my house right now. And I feel terrified that I don't have it in hand. That was easy to put together, really fun. And then it goes over my smocked dress, because why not cover up all the handwork I had to do, right? So, and I say I had to do as if I didn't design them myself. So that is a smocked dress. That's honeycomb smocked. I had never done honeycomb smocking before, but I have audacity and I did it. That thing took the longest because I hadn't done it, and that meant I hadn't patterned for it. The honeycomb smocking took the most time because it just is a lot of, I need to make sure the pattern was the right amount of space, right amount of like addition, and then I also need to then like do the basting thing where you gather it all, and then I do the pattern on top of that, and then I ungather it, and then I sew it into a piece. So it is what it is. It is me just guessing a lot of things, but I think it turned out really nice considering I did a lot of guesswork and had no guidance on that. I was originally going to do this in chiffon because I wanted it to be like a layered thing, but then someone was like, no, don't do that, do something else, because we don't like when students work with it because they're not familiar with it, blah 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 blah. So it was going to have chiffon and then silk appliques on it. But since I then did it with this other fabric I had that was kind of matching the color story and fabric story I was doing, I decided to, all this was meant to be washable and wearable a ton, so I decided to use like some basic taffeta pieces I had, some poly taffetas that would wash fine. And so I made little D20 appliques on the bottom. I think that makes it look very school marmy in a lot of ways, but like here we are. Look number 4 was my Regency core look. So this is actually a rejected Huff's look that I modified for this and didn't do as much work as I would have for the Her Universe project, but I still just did it because I'd wanted to do it. So you can see here I'm very inspired by Eloise, and I made like this very exaggerated collar. I still have the pattern pieces, so I think I'd like to continue to exaggerate that collar situation a little bit more in the future, but I did like the contrast lapel situation. I liked the double-breastedness of it and how it's just a little vest. It's like a little Spencer, but it looks like a Regency, like a men's coat, but like women's, but also gender doesn't really matter. All these things. I still have some of this lace fabric left, not a ton, but I do want to do a little bit of something with that because I think it's really cute. I loved, it might be hard to tell in the photos, but it's actually a very light blue, and I really dug that it wasn't just the standard kind of like roses on mesh, but it was a kind of more botanic looking lace, and I hadn't seen that before, and it was at the Dead Stock Fabric shop in San Francisco, and I just had to have it. Look number 5 is my cathedral look, I guess I will call it, and it is actually 3-4 pieces. It's a partlet crop top. Like, I don't have any photos of just the little partlet thing, but it's a partlet crop top, and you can see all of the fake blackwork embroidery I did with my machine, and I starched that to hell and back, and then I did the outside edging, which was just going over that again and again with a zigzag stitch in black, so I didn't have to do a buttonhole forever. And then I have a little gold work beaded heart pin brooch. The sword actually can come out. I made it so like it just kind of slips in and out, so it's a little removable sword in case you ever need that. And then I have over that a wool cathedral sleeved jacket situation with mesh sleeve inserts that have Battenberg lace on them to mimic cathedral windows. I meant to do way more lace work on this, but like time is a bitch. And then the denim skirt is also done with Battenberg, done in cathedral shapes to kind of mimic what we're all going for here, which is a cathedral look. What was it like to design a mini collection? 5 head-to-toe looks, I think, is a pretty doable thing. I think that it's not as overwhelming as like the thing I was doing in my illustration class all semester, design class, which would be like 50 looks, you know, a week. I do think like it's a very good indicator of like your skill if you in 6 months produce 5 looks from head to toe. Like you draw all the designs, you pattern them, and then you make them. I think in terms of this being a senior collection, that's a pretty good representation of somebody's skills, that if they can do that in 6 months. And like, I was doing that amidst working 2 jobs and going to school and getting ready for my honeymoon and being out of the country for like a month, essentially. So there was a lot happening in my life, and I still finished it. And I'm proud of that. I think this is kind of similar to like how people do capsule collections, but not really, because like capsule stuff, right, you're making it so it's all interchangeable, and mine was less focused on that and more of just like focused on like the design aspect of it, like showing like cool individual designs but also that are cohesive, versus really focusing on the interchangeability of it. What was it like to execute a mini collection? I think specifically the planning part of this, like I created checklists as soon as my collection was accepted, which wasn't until like December. I got word in December that like I could make this, and this was due like the 1st of May. And so I think having that kind of very specific time span to do that meant that I had to really be mindful of my time, again, because I was working multiple jobs and doing a lot of shit. I would be gone from the country for like a month, so I had to really work at focusing on a to-do list. And so I kind of just had like month by month, finish one garment, start the next, blah blah blah. And also had like each piece, each look broken down by all the pieces that went into it. So it'd be like the cathedral thing would say like make pattern for partlet, complete partlet, make pattern for, like, so we just would do that, and like make lace pieces for blank, attached to thing. So I just kind of tried to like piece out all that stuff. I also made it my goal to do all of my patterns for sure before I went to Europe. So I did that. So all of my patterns were flat patterned before I left. Not all of my fabric was cut, but I did start and finish some stuff before I left. Probably not enough stuff. I probably could have done more, because there is some detail work I wish I'd had time to do at the end, but I think that's everybody, right? And I think also it just gave me a really good idea of like gauging my time and energy and effort. I also didn't know how busy I would be this spring, so when I turned that in versus the actual working through it was a very different experience, because I didn't know I'd be so busy. What did I learn from this experience? I think I learned a lot about just honestly really taking the time to finish the pieces, in terms of like the hand finishing, the like serging and finishing all my seams, I think is one of the biggest things. And just really taking my time to be like, I flat patterned this myself, so I don't need to make 50 adjustments on this. And I think that's actually been the biggest win of this entire experience of going to fashion school. It's been making clothes that actually fit me and that I know confidently will go together, versus the patterns from envelopes you get at the store where they never fit me right. I always have to make a million adjustments, and it's just so frustrating to do them when you're like, I'm finishing them nicely, but then I have to go take them apart. So now I'm just going to finish them poorly because I have to take it apart 50 times before it fits me. And I don't have that anymore. And that's really freeing. What was the hardest part of this? I would say the hardest part was just really coming up with the time to do this on top of everything else. Like on top of, you know, my grandma having some bad dementia moments too, and like work and like school and generally doing shit. And honestly, at the end of the semester, I just accepted that there were going to be some homework assignments I just didn't do, period. Which like kills the inner Virgo in me, but also is really important, because like grades aren't everything. No one ever asks for your grades. Like, as long as you're not failing, as long as you're learning something, you don't have to finish every homework assignment. You don't have to finish every homework assignment. And especially for me, remembering this is supposed to be for fun. So I think honestly, seeing all my work done and like knowing that I could take something from illustration to pattern to a final piece was like super fulfilling. So what was my favorite part? I think I just said it, which was just seeing it all come together. But I also think my favorite part was the actual next question I had on here and the next kind of topic, which was the end result. My favorite part is that I won one of the scholarships. Let's be real. Like, not only do I have clothes that I really am into and that I can wear now, but I won one of those scholarships. And that brings me to the kind of wrap up of this video, which is, what are my future plans? I am using my Academy of Art Presidential Scholarship to pursue a master's in costume design. Yes I am. This is what I'm doing. I am living my teenage dream, and I'm getting a degree in costume design, and I am so excited. I can't tell you enough about how there's just like many little things that are not finalized about this process, but the biggest thing is, like, I know that I can take this program, and I'm really excited about it, and my tuition is covered, and I can just have fun. Like, obviously I have to pay student fees and any kind of equipment and stuff I'll need to be buying, which means that I might need to do like a closet costume sale at the end of summer. I'll do like via eBay perhaps, I don't know, but like I definitely am really excited about the fact that I can just study costumes for 2 years, and that's gonna be like a thing I can do. Like, I have a really cool class schedule ahead. I will share the public class schedule in the link in my description so you can take a look at it and be as entertained as I am about some of the classes I get to take. There's like a whole Renaissance construction class at the end that I can do. It looks like I might be able to take jewelry making in the fall instead of a class that I've already done. I'm just ecstatic. I'm so excited that I can just study costume design for 2 years and just be immersed in it, and I hope to take this experience and write about it, because I don't know about you, but my favorite parts of DVDs were the special features, and they would always have a little special feature in some way about the costumes, and that inspired me as like a person who loved that stuff, and also made me want to do cosplay. But we don't get those anymore, and we don't get the beautiful coffee table costume books anymore, right? And we don't get the traveling costume exhibits the way that we used to. I swear these things existed, right? Like, I was so eager to go see those Star Wars costumes on display, and like they never came close to me, but like I knew that tour existed. So my goal in pursuing this is not only to just get better at making costumes and talking about costuming and costume design, but it's also to become a person who can talk about this stuff, because I've already been talking about this stuff, but I see a lot of articles quoting armchair fashion historians about costume design, and I need those people to stay in their lane, because you have people who are doing that and are gatekeeping in a community space because they're not part of that community, and I think there's a problem there. So I'm really excited to learn a ton and be able to write about it and to pitch stories to places and be like, hey, before you interview these same Lady Karens over here who have been bad actors in the community, I would like to pitch you a story where somebody who is actually involved in this community writes about the community and writes about the design process. And I hope that a degree will help legitimize a little bit of that along the way. But I'd also love to write a book. Like, many of you have commented that like I've done a ton of like iconic dresses and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, a book on like iconic red dresses from a certain era of period drama would be really, really cool. Even like a book on the impact of cosplay with people and period dramas on people. Hell, even like a book on the impact of Bridgerton in clothing design would be fascinating. And so that's what I am looking forward to. I am looking forward to the ability to deeply research and write about the thing that has brought me a lot of joy while still making my own costumes, right? Because I'm totally gonna keep making my own costumes. I'll just like have leveled up on such a plane that I won't know what to do. I want to give a huge shout out to my patrons. You have been so wonderful and patient and kind and supportive this whole process. If you've not joined my Patreon, you really probably should, because you get access to the special Jane Austen Avocado Toast Society Discord, where I share like my works in progress, like what I'm sewing. And then also you should just like support my work. That'd be really nice, because I'm definitely gonna need a little bit of help paying for some things come the fall. But until then, thank you so much for joining me, and don't forget to make it so.